I think loneliness is the hardest of all of these. It's the hardest to solve, right? Like the other stuff, it's like, okay, there's action steps you can take to make those things better. But with loneliness, it's really hard. And so I will say, like, there's just like different stages, right? Like early on, I think year one, two, most likely to be lonely. It was a mom asking her, I think like a preteen girl, she's probably about like 12, maybe 13, name, I think she said two or maybe three gifts you got for Christmas last year. And the kid couldn't.
Really?
And I'm like, you know what? I bet if we asked our kids to name three, maybe they could name like their one big one, but that's not what they remember. They remember the experiences. I think for empty nesters, it makes the most sense to expect that you should be the one to go to them as opposed to expecting them to come to you. And I think that it's very common for empty nesters to think the kids need to come to us.
Welcome to a Holistic Dose. We've been through the plot twist, divorce, parenting, burnout, reinvention, and now we're doing midlife with way more honesty and way less BS. Think of us as your unfiltered friends, here to remind you that you're not too late, too old, or too far behind. I'm Tiffany.
And I'm Jeanette.
So we're going to be covering today real talk without the kids for during the holidays. This is for our single moms and some people who are co-parents or perhaps even empty nesters. We have a range of listeners, and we're all thinking about the holidays that's quickly approaching.
This is something that takes up a lot of my time right now as a divorce attorney with,
Absolutely.
folks who have their divorces pending right now. We're trying to negotiate a lot of holiday schedules, and
Mm-hmm.
I hear a lot of anxiety, fear, sadness, a lot of emotions around not spending all holidays with the kids.
It is a real thing. And I think I've seen a lot of that in your divorce group. She has an amazing support group for women. If anybody wants to join, you should definitely check it out. We'll link to it. But that's one of the main things I keep seeing people talking about is like, I don't know how to deal because I
Mhm.
won't have the kids Christmas morning or Thanksgiving or New Year's or Hanukkah, things like that.
Yeah, and something I see, and this is with mostly female clients. Usually I frequently see them trying to negotiate where they get most of the holidays.
Right.
It's just so common. Like I've had so many clients who are moms saying, okay, well, I want Thanksgiving. So how about we split Thanksgiving to where I get the kids at 3 o'clock on Thanksgiving Day and then I also get Christmas morning. I was like,
Right.
well, yeah, and you just have to accept that it's not going to look like that. You really are going to have to, give dad half of the holidays and the good stuff too, including Christmas morning. But it's not as scary as it feels. And so that's what I really hope
Absolutely.
people can walk away realizing today is it's the unknown. People are scared of the unknown
Hmm.
and expectations and
Yep.
ideas that we have in our head about how things are supposed to look like. And
Yes.
we really need to let go of a lot of that. So that's what we're going to talk about today. How do you do that? And how do you create new traditions, etc.?
Yeah. You know what I've seen too a lot of is, for example, like holidays. I mean, naturally, the female or the mom is going to be the one bearing all the most of the workload, right? When it comes to the
Unfortunately, it
preparation,
shouldn't be that way, but
right?
it's that way.
In most situations, it is, right? So, and also, let's be real, women are usually also control freaks too. I have
Mm-hmm.
to accept myself that I might have used to say, well, he didn't used to help with this, that, there, and the other, but also did you allow
Yeah.
space for that to happen? Did you ask for help? So what I end up seeing with people is they'll say, well, he shouldn't even get like Christmas Eve or Christmas morning because it was always really important to me and he never cared about it then. So
Yes.
what's the big deal now?
Yeah. It's like, well, when you divorce, it changes. Everything
It
changes.
changes. And you also have to realize and accept that you guys are both now different people. You're learning to
Mm-hmm.
create your new norms, and we're also learning how to be different people that a lot of the people I'm sure you're familiar with, or most of your clientele too, they've gotten married in their 20s. And
Mm-hmm.
like we've talked about before, you're a different person back then. And you grow up together when you're married, and you don't even really get to discover who you are as an individual. So what happens is you go and get divorced, and then it's like, well, I have, this identity that I know about myself, but you're also figuring out your new self, and your partner is figuring out their new self and routines too. So it's going to look a lot different.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah, and I think a lot of people worry about, "Oh, the kids, is their holiday gonna be awful?" And
Mhm.
in my experience, the kids are typically fine. It's really the
Yes.
adults making it about them,
Yes.
and I think that we kind of lie to ourselves about, "Oh, we're really making it about the kids," but it's
It's
really
not.
about how we feel. The reality is and I've been divorced now for 11 years.
Yeah, and
So
I'm 10
Logan was
years.
4. Logan was 4 when his dad and I split. He's 15 now, and then I've been remarried for 7 years, and have stepkids, and I can't think of a single time that the kids really complained about rotating holidays.
Right.
They
Right.
love their Christ like, my stepdaughters love their Christmas with their mom. They love their Thanksgiving with their mom. Logan loves his Christmas with his dad.
Mhm.
So, they love the traditions and time with everyone in the family, and they want to be going back and forth. So, it's really about, "Alright, how do we reframe it for
Mhm.
ourselves to accept this new reality?" Because the kids are fine, they're gonna have fun, and you don't want them to sense sadness. If
Mhm.
you act depressed or
Yes.
sad or like you're not going to be on the holiday, that makes your kids responsible for your feelings. And
Which is a
that's what's going to screw up
no-no.
their holiday is if they're with dad opening gifts and being happy and feeling guilt about having a good time because, oh my God, mom's at home feeling sad. No, like the best thing you can do for your kids is make sure your life is really great so
Mhm.
they don't have to worry about mom.
That's exactly what I was gonna add to. It really has to do with how you set the tone and how you frame it for them. So and I've played those roles many times, and it's all about self-awareness and where you catch yourself in what you're saying, and your body language and everything
Mhm.
shows. So it's kinda like, "Oh, did you have fun at dad's?" Or, "Oh, did you guys do anything new and exciting or fun over there?" Or, and trying to make sure that you're not trying to pry. It's more just
Mhm.
for that you're wanting to share an enjoyment with them, but it's never about an interrogation. I think I grew up with that a lot
Correct.
with my mom and my dad, and I had primary custody of my mom, but anytime I did go over to my dad's, it was like questioning things and then vice
Mhm.
versa. The kids are in the middle, and it just leaves a really icky feeling. They feel so much guilt, and
Yeah.
then they feel like they can't be celebratory and happy for going with the other parent, which is just not fair.
And also don't make them feel guilt about calling you at a certain time or staying on
Yes.
the phone for a certain amount of time. So usually I end up getting a call from Logan like on the holiday that I don't have him. And if
Mhm.
I don't, like I'll just text him, "Hey, give me a call when you have a chance."
Yeah,
And then I leave it up to him.
right.
Because you know what? The holiday, like he should be able to enjoy his holiday without worrying
Yes.
about mom.
Yep.
And I know sometimes I do want to hear from him even if
Mhm.
it's 3 to 5 minutes,
Yep.
right? But I leave the ball in his court as far as, like, when it works for him. And
Mhm.
so, I'll send a text, "Hey, call me when you can." I don't think a holiday's ever gone by where he just didn't.
Mhm.
And it's probably gonna be a really quick, brief, "I love you. Merry
Yeah.
Christmas. Glad you had fun." And that's okay.
It's completely okay. I've dated some guys in the past where they had a very strict schedule of when they talk to their kids every single day.
And that
And I'm
sucks
like,
for the kids.
it really does, and, sometimes it was with younger children too, who then, of course, it's solely relying on the parent, and
Yep.
then there's, like it ends up naturally happening where it's, like, shit talking, you know,
Mhm.
because it's like, "Well, she didn't set the call up, or she missed the call," or whatever, and it really keeps both parties in a place of this limbo where you can't ever fully move on.
Yeah. I agree.
And it also, I feel like it would subconsciously make the kids feel, and then probably the other parent too, like, I got this, right? I don't need a babysitter to check on me to make sure that I've done X, Y, and Z because you're going to have to allow them to create their own new ways of parenting
Yeah.
and their rules in their house, and you cannot control that. It's not fair.
Yeah.
Some of the common things that people will experience along this is like loneliness and guilt, but also I've heard people say too that they're worried that the kids are going to forget their typical traditions if they don't follow what they had been doing when they were married.
Yeah.
And from that, I think, like, no, because you're gonna create new traditions. Again, it's all about how you spin it with them and put a positive light on it.
Mhm. I think loneliness is the hardest of all of these. It's the
It
hardest to
is.
solve, right?
Mhm.
Like the other stuff, it's like, okay, there's action steps you can take to, make those things better. But with loneliness, it's really hard. And so I will say, like, there's just like different stages, right? Like early
Mhm.
on, I think year one, two, most likely to be lonely. Then usually you end up either you're finding a new relationship
Yep.
or, having girlfriends who are also
Mhm.
single and, starting your own traditions. So, I mean, do you have any tips for combating loneliness in those early
I do.
years?
Yeah, I think that one of my biggest mistakes is allowing myself to share too okay, it's kind of the same thing. If you set the same happiness tone with your kids, they'll feel that way. If you go and say to your friends like, "Oh, woe is me, I'm so lonely," they're gonna most of the time, people are just like that. They're gonna sulk in that too and kind of be like, "Oh, well, what do you mean you're just gonna order a pizza on Thanksgiving?" Actually, pizza is like one of my favorite foods. That's not a bad thing. But what I allowed myself to do mistakenly is sulk in that a little bit. And
Mhm.
then people fed into it and it brought me down. And when I was able to separate myself, I realized, no, this is not a bad thing. Actually, I love that I'm alone on Christmas Eve because gift wrapping is something that I love to do. And I'm a very last minute shopper. So I've now made a ritual of it for myself that either I go somewhere, but I usually don't. I'm like, ooh, this is my night in Christmas Eve because I know I'm going to get Gabby on Christmas morning after breakfast. And I have time to last minute wrap presents and just, stay up late watching movies and then wake up in the morning, make myself a nice breakfast. But I think the biggest thing is really find your tribe of people that aren't going to like feed into the sulk with you, that will lift you up. And
Mhm.
sometimes you need to straight up tell people that because we all know those people in our lives who will naturally default to that. And it's probably more common that people are going to pull you down. And I don't think they mean it to be bad or, harmful in any way, but
It's kind of strange. I actually cannot remember my first few, like, Christmases without Logan. It's weird, like,
mm,
I don't remember them. I have no idea. I assume I just went to my family stuff and
well,
spent
your
time with
schedule
family.
is different than mine. So you alternate the holidays.
Yeah. Do you
And for
not?
no, we don't. We split the days. So that's why. So we've kind of had this routine with her dad. Christmas Eve is always like a really big celebration. It was with me, with my family, but because he's Latin, he does Noche Buena. And that's a really like party celebration for Christmas Eve. They stay up late. And now that she has a sister, a half sister with him that's 7 years old now, I explained to her, I'm like, it's really important, Gabby, for you to be there with her that
Mhm.
morning. Those are the memories that like you being a big sister to her, that's so important. And to be honest, she prefers hanging out with me the rest of the day on Christmas because we're like besties now, hanging on the couch, binge watching shows, and she comes and opens up my presents after. So I kind of get her for both. And then Thanksgiving was always a toss up. For her dad, it was never like a big holiday. So I would typically take her to visit my sister in Virginia. So I usually have her then. But this year, we're going to go to her best friend's house on the day after Thanksgiving, due on a Friday. But I think I've never got to experience it where where I didn't have her completely.
Interesting. Yeah, so I've had, like, we completely rotate. So one Thanksgiving, I will not see Logan the entire break, and then the next year is Christmas, I won't see him for until after Christmas, and
Okay.
that's how most people do it, but,
Hmm.
every family's different, and so what
Yeah.
works for me might not work for someone else.
We do
Um,
have a really flexible co-parenting schedule too, but we don't even follow it as strictly now. We
yeah.
live close together, which again, I realize this is maybe rare for people, but we have decided we wanted to really make sure that we would not put her in the middle. And there's some times that we do that and we course correct, but it's really worked well for us that, he lives 10 minutes away and I have her every Monday night, Tuesday. It's like the what is it? 225, I think it's
Mhm.
called.
Yeah,
Every Monday night, Tuesday night, he has every
yeah.
Wednesday night, Thursday night, and then we alternate Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. So she ends up staying with me a bit more because she'll take the bus home from school. But even if it's like, we're just flexible.
Yeah.
If he has stuff with work, he's like, can I drop her off? I'm like, absolutely. Or I'm going away. Can we flip a weekend? And I know that not everybody has that. But if you don't have that, I think this is an opportunity for you to create your own new norms for yourself. And
Mhm.
if your kids are going to see that you're living a happy life and that you can move on, they're
Yes,
going to thrive and be that much more happy as well.
exactly. So as far as the loneliness, something that I've heard a lot of women say is when they just really cannot get themselves out of a funk, something that's
Mhm.
helped is volunteering.
Oh,
And that
yes.
you can just feel so good and
Mhm.
that it's a great thing to do. I mean, I think on Thanksgiving, you can go, like, hand out
Yes,
food and
meals, prepare
yeah.
meals. That's
Yeah,
a
so
great tip. I love that idea. What I've always done too is like I make plans with myself. Like I know I said I'll do
mhm.
that, but I've created that routines, but for other days for things like that, I'm like, "Ooh, I'm like I'm going to take a bubble bath. I'm going to put on my red light mask and I'm going to binge the show. I'm going to order pizza." Like I
Yep.
plan the whole thing out. So this way if other plans come up and they don't end up happening or I decide to not go, I don't feel like I was missing out, you know?
Yeah.
That's the biggest thing. And I do find a couple of people that when I'm feeling down, again, it's people that I trust. It's like you, Amanda, and a couple other friends that I might just give them a hint and say like, "I'm feeling really down. I just need to like talk about this for a minute." And I'm not one of those people that likes to sulk. I don't want to be depressed for days on end. I set a time limit for myself personally. I'll say, "Tiffany, I'll give you until tomorrow morning." And usually I sleep on it and I'm fine the next day.
Mhm.
Otherwise, you're just going to end up sulking and never moving on. And I'm busy as hell with work, as you guys always heard me talk about. And life is too short for that to be stuck in this
Absolutely.
slump.
Yeah, so much is about mindset and our attitude and
Hmm.
how we frame things for ourselves.
Yeah, and it is okay to let people know, like, "I'm feeling down." And they're like, "Oh, what's going on?" And again, finding people that you know you can trust, that they won't just sulk with you. And you don't I think creating like we've talked about this before, creating boundaries for especially for those who are newly divorced. If you're gonna go down this avenue of wanting to trash talk your partner, like, "Oh, he didn't let me have them and I asked to switch a schedule and I really wanted Christmas afternoon because my mother was in town, blah, blah, blah." If you don't set the boundaries with your family members to not go down that path with you,
Mhm.
then they're only gonna contribute to the downfall and the demise. 'Cause
Yeah.
then it's just gonna make things worse. You want somebody who's gonna be like, "No," like, call you on your bullshit. Actually, that's their father too, or their parent too, if it's man, woman, whatever, and they deserve the time and help you reason. You just have to really
Mhm.
know who you trust and you lean into.
Yeah, and, the other parent deserves that time, and they deserve to spend it how they would like,
Yeah.
and, I see people kinda spiral over, "Well, these are the things they should be doing," and
Mhm.
you gotta let it go, and you have to let them
You do.
create their own memories with the kids and the way that they
Mhm.
want to do that, and the kids are gonna be okay.
Yeah, they really are. Like, I've always preferred a more quiet, calm sounding home personally, but
See,
that's
we're
another.
opposite, we're chaos.
Yeah, so you're chaos. So how do you deal or how did you deal with the silence?
It
Because
is
that must have been
interesting because
adjustment.
even now, just when it's not the holidays, just our regular schedule, it's like 2 different homes because we've always been able to line up where our kids have the same schedule pretty much. And
Mhm.
so we'll have a really quiet house for a week, and then we have a chaos house. By the time we get to, like, the end of a chaos week, it's almost like I need a rest. So it works out. I mean, I enjoy my quiet
Mhm.
week, but then you start missing the kids and you start looking forward to your time with the kids.
Yeah.
Then it's chaos week. And so same
Kids
with the
and chaos.
holidays. Yeah. I mean, it's almost just like my quiet week is the recovery time.
Mhm.
And same with the holidays. Like, I know our Christmas mornings are crazy. It's loud. We have 3 kids and we have 4 dogs and it's
Mhm.
chaos. And I love that. But then I also love the quiet. I also like going other places,
Mhm.
because when it's just a holiday without the kids, I don't feel like I need to be, in my house. And
Mhm.
so, Jeff and I we've spent Christmases in Charleston.
Yeah.
We've done Cozumel. One Thanksgiving, we were in Bonaire. And I really enjoyed traveling over the holidays and just seeing, the Christmas decorations in a different place. And
Mhm.
and really choosing to focus on rest and relaxation. So then I do have that energy when we have the kids.
Yeah. I can remember when I first got divorced, I was in that mindset of feeling sorry for myself. And then that's when the sulking happens. And then I was like, "Oh, nobody's asking me to come over. They should know that I'm the single parent now." And I realized that's really unfair to put that
Mhm.
expectation on somebody else because I'm a grown ass adult and
Yeah.
I need to take responsibility for myself. So I had to get over the fear of just being like, "Oh, somebody invite me," to just asking, "Hey, do you have room
Yeah.
for one more?
Absolutely.
Can Gabby and I join?" And of course, people are going to say, yes,
Yeah.
absolutely. And then I've also realized that, sometimes like I just want to be solo. Another big thing too was leaning into your divorce group that you have. And there's been a great group of ladies there too who will do like Friendsgiving.
I love the Friendsgiving tradition.
And they'll also say, like, hey, I'm hosting this year who doesn't have their kids or who does and wants to come over and let's all do it together. I
Mhm.
think that's always really nice.
Yeah, for sure.
So, with that, I think the first year of the divorce, whether it's divorce or even being an empty nester, that's a
Mhm.
whole other thing. I can't even imagine when that time comes.
And that's something else to keep in mind, like, if you're going through the whole divorce transition right now,
Mhm.
that there are still seasons in life. This isn't the only time.
Yes.
Even if you were an intact family,
Mhm.
the kids aren't gonna be with you every single
Forever.
holiday, and so it's like you just have to accept that this is a different season, and
Mhm.
there's going to be more, and I know you and I are just a few years away from I
I
mean,
know.
we're pretty close to our kids, going to college,
Yep.
and, of course, they're gonna come back some, but then there'll be another transition when they get married, and,
Right. And then
I'm
wanting to create their new norms.
Yes, and I'm thankful that neither side of the family, like my parents and Jeff's parents, no one pressures us because it's a lot to juggle when it's
It
like,
is.
all right, how do we see the families?
Mhm.
And, this year for Thanksgiving, we're doing something we've never done before, which is me and Jeff, says my husband, and then his brother and wife. We're renting a big lake house. And
Oh,
then we invited Jeff's parents and my parents, and then, there's cousins and so it's gonna be like a big family get together, and so we're basically, like, hosting together with Jeff's brother with my
maybe we're gonna
brother-in-law.
crash. Just
What?
kidding.
Yeah. We probably won't even notice. And, so it's gonna be a lot of fun, but nobody pressured us. It was just kinda my idea, like, "Hey, would you guys wanna
Mhm.
rent a place?" And then, we could see my parents and Jeff's
That's
parents, and
awesome.
but there are plenty of other years where we've just had to tell one side, "Hey, we're gonna go to the other side this
Mhm.
year," and nobody gives us crap, thank goodness. I know that there are lots of families where there is that pressure, and that's hard.
Yeah, I've because I think my sisters maybe had mentioned a couple times, and I was like, "Nope, I'm fine." I'm like, "Oh, Tiff, well, it's really sad that around holidays, if you're not with family, etc., etc." And I'm like, "Well, yes and no, but it's only sad if you believe that it is sad. I don't feel
Mhm.
that it's sad. I think that I don't know. I've gotten more comfortable in myself to learn and know that with my ADHD and being a super introvert that people think I'm an extrovert, I need so much recharge time that I love my sister. My younger sister likes her cooking and everything. And she has 4 kids, 2 big dogs. She invites like 30 people over. It's a lot and it is draining. So then for us to travel there and then be around all that energy and everything,
Mhm.
it ends up not being relaxing for me. It ends up being like, oh my God, I want to have like some time to just be like calm and relax. But they're kind of like, well, we haven't seen you in a couple of years and yada yada yada. And you can't take that on. It's
Yeah.
it's not fair. You have to protect your own peace because you're the only one. Like not everybody like, she loves a full house and entertaining, and I know that for me, I need days to recover,
Mhm.
days, and I know that I'm not gonna function after that. So if that doesn't work for you, then it's okay,
Yeah.
and to not fall into the pressure because there's gonna be so many other times. And also, didn't you say that you will sometimes do these makeup holiday days too, where it's like Christmas on another day instead of
Yeah.
that actual day?
Yeah. You don't have to celebrate it on the actual day.
Mhm. Absolutely. Make it a whole thing and just do your own celebration. I think it's
Mhm.
even better.
Yeah.
And know that, like, In the beginning, yeah, it is hard, but the feelings are temporary, and that's the
Yeah,
biggest
that's
thing.
important to understand too. Those first couple of years are going to be the hardest. You're going
Mhm.
to find a new normal, and you really just need to make it a priority to focus on figuring out
Mhm.
how to have a full life outside of your time with the
Yes.
kids. Because if you don't do it now, like we talked about earlier, like they're going to move out, they're going to
Yeah.
go to college. So you have to figure this out at some point. Might as
Mhm.
well do it now and live the fullest life possible. And, my parents have
Mhm.
really kind of set a good example of that with like they are living it up. They're retired now.
Yeah.
And
They're a
I,
perfect example.
yeah, like
You
they
can't
have
pin them down.
yeah, I mean, they're busier now, like, I used to talk to my parents more when I was in
Mhm.
college than I do now
Wow.
because they're so busy, and not everyone wants to be busy, but they're both, like, extroverts, they love socializing, so they have their group of friends, and they have their church, and they bought an Airstream, and they go on so many trips, like, they drove from Georgia to Alaska.
Wow.
But they always have something going on and they have a great life. And again, trying to keep the parents happy doesn't fall on me. And
Mhm.
we shouldn't make that our kids' job and responsibility. It's our job and responsibility to make ourselves happy.
Yeah, I agree. For those empty nesters, I think the big thing is to know that your worth as a mom, it doesn't diminish as the kids grow up.
Mhm.
It's just that the picture looks different, and now, the kids are going to colleges too, and they might not be able to come home, and they might be forming new relationships and starting to go with other families as well, and to not put that pressure and stress on them.
Yeah.
'Cause they'll all come back. It's all gonna come
Yes.
back around when they're gonna have their families and let them like, our job as parents, I've always felt, is not to, control. You wanna raise them to be independent, functioning
Mhm.
adults and
Yeah.
support and give them love and guidance. That's what I had even recently told my mom. She's like, "I want a good relationship," or she didn't say a good relationship. It's like, "I want to have a relationship with you." And I'm like, "Yeah, I mean, everybody has relationships with each other, right?" But for me, all it takes is just unconditional love and support and showing up. And there's really not much more to it. I think that's our
Yeah.
job as parents, right? It's just showing
And I
love and
think
support.
I think for empty nesters, it makes the most sense to expect that you should be the one to go to them,
Mhm.
as opposed to
Yes.
expecting them to come to you. And I think that it's very common for empty nesters to think the kids need to come to us.
Right.
And
That's
that
a
puts
really great point.
because if especially if like when you're an empty nester you don't have as much going on,
Yeah.
but you think of the stage of life we're in with kids and jobs and there it's so hard to
Mhm.
travel and go to someone else. And so something I think about is we're in a house that we're in just because it's what makes sense for this stage of life.
Right.
So
And the
when the
size.
yes, and the size, the location with our co-parents and all that. So this house, like when the kids are out of it, like we're somewhere else. And so, we kind of talk about, oh, what will we get? What will we do? And, Jeff said, oh, well, should we get a house big enough for all the kids? And I've heard a lot of like older folks say, oh, we bought this big house for the kids to visit, but then they never come visit.
Right, and then they get upset. I've heard a lot of that too.
Yeah, and then they'll get
Mhm.
upset that the kids don't visit, and I don't wanna be that, like,
No.
I kinda think the kids probably aren't all gonna be over at our house
Right.
because they're gonna be busy, they're gonna have
Yeah.
so much going on, so I think it makes more sense for us to have something simple and plan to go to them.
Right, and then also be open to the fact and knowing that they might not have that extra room for you, so don't
Yes,
add that extra
hotels are
stress.
fine.
It's totally fine, like, book in advance if you know you're gonna wanna go, but what's an extra couple $100 to not add that
Exactly.
extra stress? Plus, it allows you like, what was really interesting too is, like, the first time, like, going on a trip with my mom, like, a year ago and not having been, with her in that close proximity for a long time, you realize, like, "Oh, wow, we're very different, but we're also very alike in many ways," which could be clashing too. So it's kinda nice when you have your own
Have a
space.
space, yeah,
Mhm. And it helps things out a lot better.
yeah, for
So,
sure.
I think, so what are some tips that you would give for co-parenting for communication over the holidays? For me, I would say one of the things is just confirming the plans early, like making sure that I know that there's a parenting plan, it's set, but if you do wanna make any changes, maybe, like, let's talk about that sooner.
Mhm. Yeah, that just get everything agreed upon early, and then just don't have real strict expectations of how
Mhm.
everything is supposed to look. Just try to go with the flow. Don't get into worrying about competing.
Yeah.
That, don't worry about, "Oh my god, they're spending this much money or they're doing this or that." In our situation, really, like, both my stepdaughter's mom and my son's stepmom, they are both very much more like they keep their house much nicer than I do. They, bake things and, they're
Mhm.
very much more
By the book, maybe?
like kinda Martha Stewart, or, like, just I'm just not like that, and you just don't compare yourself and worry about it because 'cause
Yeah.
I'm fun, right? So that's kinda my thing is, like,
Right.
I don't have, the perfectly decorated house but I come up with, like, the fun ideas, like the Morse code I brought up the
The
other day,
supermarket
and the
sweep.
supermarket sweep, like, I'm
Yeah.
more about, like, let me think of fun things to do together, and so everyone has
The thing.
their own thing, their own strengths, and
Mhm.
spend time on how do I make the holiday great in my way,
And
within the
memories.
time that I have with the kids
Mhm.
rather than comparison, because
Yeah.
that's not a good thing.
Because those the amount of time that they spend, honestly, opening the presents, we talked about this before, it goes by so fast.
Yes.
But it's like, what are the fun things and traditions that you can create? And whether that's on the actual holidays themselves or on another day, just do it. Like, there was something I listened to recently that was like the way to form like a closer relationship with your kid is like have like your inside jokes and little things. So Gabby and I, we have this like funny way that we talk to each other based on a show that we watched. And we're always, like, pulling it out, like, our little accents and saying silly things, and, like, if anybody else heard us, they'd be like, "What?" But it's just, like, our things that we just do, and it's, like, our inside stuff or, like, our little
Yeah.
dances together and just funny things.
And that's what
Those are
will be
things.
remembered. Like, Jeff sent me an Instagram post from a couple days ago, and it was a mom asking her, I think, like, a preteen girl, she's probably
Mhm.
about, like, 12, maybe 13, name, I think she said 2 or maybe 3 gifts you got for Christmas last year,
Uh-huh.
and the kid couldn't. And
Really?
I'm like, "You know what? I bet if we asked our kids to name 3, maybe they could name, like, their one big one, but that's not what they remember. They
No.
remember the experiences.
The experiences, but you did some fun things, and I did too that we talked about, like, I bet you they would name the scent of space
Yeah, that's
perfume you
true.
got. Because that is a funny thing. It's not like,
Yeah.
"Oh, this Kendra Scott necklace," or whatever, but it was a fun thing, and then you use it to, like, "Oh, they sprayed my room to
Yeah.
smell like space." And the year that Gabby wanted, the
Guitar,
guitar,
yeah.
and I wrapped the ukulele and then did all the clues. She's, like, never gonna forget that. But if I just presented it as it was, probably would have been totally forgotten, you
Yeah.
know? So that goes for, if you can't afford many big multiple gifts, how can you do things in creative ways? Use Chat GPT. That is your friend. I want to
Mhm.
do some creative things. And I kind of miss that we don't do Elf on the Shelf. Did you do it with the
No, I
kids?
hated Elf on the Shelf.
Oh my God. I kind of
I
like loved it.
refuse to do it because I'm like, that's so much pressure to have to figure out, like, where to move
Hmm.
the elf, and I knew I would feel pressure to not just move the elf, but to do, like, some elaborate
Yeah. Well, that was because
scene.
that's what you put out there, but the kids would have not known any different
Yeah.
if you didn't. I
But my
loved
kid
it.
didn't know any different because he never even had the elf.
That's true. Well, one of our things that I love is we love getting matching Christmas PJs. And years
Yeah.
ago, I instilled that for her because when I worked at Carter's, that was always like a big thing. So this year, she's like, "Mommy, I ordered these little teddy bear PJs from Gap." And I'm like, "Wait, what? You didn't like tell me?" She's like, "Oh, yeah. So, okay, mommy, order yours." So I did, and they arrived, and we're so excited about it. It's, like,
That's cute.
really cute.
Yeah.
This one thing that I just told you about, so for our listeners too, this is a good tip. If you're a Nordstrom card holder, and even if you're not, they're doing Santa pictures, and so they're like $40, or it's free if you have the Nordstrom card, which I do. And she's like, "I'm not gonna take a picture with Santa, mommy. That's lame." And I'm like, "I don't care. It's gonna be you and me." And then I threw
That's
out to
a
her,
cute idea.
I was like, "What if we wore our teddy bear pajamas?" She's like, "Yes." you know? I also, before I saw that, what I was gonna do is, because I've seen people do this, is go book this would be really fun for you guys. Go book a family portrait session at, JCPenney or
Oh,
Sears or whatever
yeah.
that do the retro
Yeah.
pictures. That stuff will be
That's fun.
totally remembered, you know?
Yeah.
Like, things like that. And again, it's stuff around the
Just
holidays,
have
doesn't have to be
fun.
on the day.
Mhm.
So it's the biggest tip and takeaway is just like create like whatever your tradition, your normal day is. And know that it can change and it probably will
Mhm.
many times over.
Yes.
So a couple other tips too would be like hosting brunches or dinners with your families and friends. That's something that I love doing is one of her best friends, the mom, Anna. She does like a holiday cookie decorating party every year. And so she bakes all the sugar cookies, she pre-stamps them, cuts them out, and then invites us all over. And there's all the decorations you could ever imagine, dream of, and we all decorate them, gives us each like a nice tin to take them home. That's a really fun
That's
thing too.
fun. Yeah.
And another friend of mine that I'm gonna drag you to does like an ornament exchange, which is also really fun too. Like going to those experiences
Yeah.
and creating those own, like just pull together your friends and host and pull all the kids together. I love all those
Mhm.
things.
Yeah.
So, as we wrap up here, I think there's just a good reminder that, whatever your situation may look like this year, next year, just know that the season as a whole, it doesn't define you. It doesn't define you as a mother or as a family. And you get the opportunity now to rewrite what you want this to look like for yourself and just carry it along with like lots of peace and happiness and memories, because that's really what it's all about.
Yeah.
So, make sure you keep listening and subscribe on Apple Podcasts or wherever you listen to podcasts, and follow us on social media at A Holistic Dose on Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube for more fun. And visit our website at aholisticdose.com. Thanks for hanging out with us. We'll be back next week with more unfiltered friend talk right here on A Holistic Dose.
Happy holidays.
Bye.